He was throwing the ball today, threw it really well. We'll gradually work him back in. Again, I'm not in a rush because I do think these reps are so valuable for KJ, for Dia, and MJ right now that this is a great opportunity for them. But it is nice to see some of the guys coming off of injury working their way back into. Ryan Wingo working his way back into it in a modified state. Ty Anthony, Xavier Filsamy, Trevor Gooseby was in pads, Justice Terry was in pads. So they're not going full team reps, but they're working their way back into this. And that's a great thing for us. A couple sidebar notes while we're on injuries. Khalil Lockett had to have surgery last week, so he'll be down the rest of spring, as well as Caden Shearer. So, that's part of our sport. Unfortunately, both surgeries went well, and we will get them back. We'll get Khalil back earlier than Caden, but we'll get Khalil back here ready to go for the summer.
How about the Longhorns' addition of former all-conference offensive lineman Lawrence Seymour, and Sark's reaction to the news that he won his eligibility hearing and will be able to participate in the 2026 Texas football season?
Yeah, no, I think getting Lawrence cleared and getting his waiver cleared through the NCAA was huge. We're trying to become an experienced group up front. We had lived in a world where we were so experienced for so long. And last year we felt inexperienced at times, and I thought that it showed. And one of the emphasis for us this year was how could we become an experienced group again? And with Trevor's experience, Connor's experience, Brandon Baker's experience, to add Melvin Sinai with his experience, I think Lawrence, same thing. A guy who's played a lot of football, obviously started his career at Miami, and then finished up with what he did at Western Kentucky last year, the way he played. And again, you're always trying to look at, how do guys compare when you have to play in our league and what the SEC is like. And I thought one of his best games last year that he played was against LSU, and the quality of opponent. I think he brings a presence. I think he brings maturity. I think he brings a level of physicality that we need up front. So big get for us. Again, getting him acclimated will be big, but he's an experienced guy. He'll get there.
One more note on the offensive line and the way that's coming together before we hit our first break here of this 3 o'clock hour, and that is whether or not Sark is already kind of getting a feel for the packages of the offensive line and the way that they are getting accustomed to things. Here's how he responded on that topic.
Yeah, probably the second half of spring or the last quarter of spring, we'll start to tinker with some of those types of things. Again, we're still in like that building the foundation phase. And then you start to get an idea of some of the strengths of individual players and okay, where can we go with this? Where can we go with that? Then we'll kind of throw a bunch of mud on the wall in spring and see what sticks a little bit. And then we'll circle back in summer. And then in training camp, we'll start before training camp. Hey, we got to make sure we get these things in because we think it could be advantageous for us at some point this season.